So I started full focus. I completely trained to get my breath hold time up for what I needed to do. But there was no way to prepare for the live television aspect of it being on Oprah. But in practice, I would do it face down, floating on the pool. But for TV, they wanted me to be upright so they could see my face, basically. The other problem was the suit was so buoyant that they had to strap my feet in to keep me from floating up. So I had to use my legs to hold my feet into the straps that were loose, which was a real problem for me. That made me extremely nervous, raising the heart rate. Then what they also did was, which we never did before, is there was a heart rate monitor, and it was right next to the sphere. So every time my heart would beat, I'd hear the beep, 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 you know, the ticking really loud, which is making me more nervous, and there's no way to slow my heart rate down. So normally, I would start at 38 beats per minute, and while holding my breath, it would drop to 12 beats per minute, which is pretty unusual. This time it started at 120 beats, and it never went down. I spent the first 5 minutes underwater desperately trying to slow my heart rate down. I was just sitting there thinking, I've got to slow this down, I'm going to fail. And I was getting more nervous, and the heart rate just kept going up and up all the way up to 150 beats. Basically, it's the same thing that created my downfall at Lincoln Center. It was a waste of O2. When I made it to the halfway mark at 8 minutes, I was 100% certain that I was not going to be able to make this. There was no way for me to do it. So I figured Oprah had dedicated an hour to doing this breath hold thing. If I had cracked early, it would be a whole show about how depressed I am. So I figured I'm better off just fighting and staying there until I black out, at least, and they can pull me out and take care of me and all that. I kept pushing to 10 minutes. At 10 minutes, you start getting all these really strong tingling sensations in your fingers and toes. And I knew that that was blood shunting, when the blood rushes away from your extremities to provide oxygen to your vital organs. At 11 minutes, I started feeling throbbing sensations in my legs, and my lips started to feel really strange. At minute 12, I started to have ringing in my ears, and I started to feel my arm going numb. And I'm a hypochondriac, and I remember arm numb means heart attack, so I started to get really paranoid. Then at 13 minutes, maybe because of the hypochondria, I started feeling pains all over my chest. It was awful. At 14 minutes, I had these awful contractions, like this urge to breathe. At 15 minutes, I was suffering major O2 deprivation to the heart, and I started having ischemia to the heart. My heartbeat would go from 120 to 50 to 150 to 40 to 20 to 150 again. It would skip a beat, it would start, it would stop, and I felt all this. And I was sure that I was going to have a heart attack. So at 16 minutes, what I did is I slid my feet out, because I knew that if I did go out, if I did have a heart attack, they'd have to jump into the body and take my feet out before pulling me up. So I was really nervous. So I let my feet out, and I started floating to the top. And I didn't take my head out, but I was just floating there waiting for my heart to stop. Just waiting. They had doctors with the, so sitting there waiting. And then suddenly I hear screaming. And I think that it's some weird thing, that I had died or something had happened. And then I realized that I had made it to 1632. So with the energy of everybody that was there, I decided to keep pushing, and I went to 17 minutes and 4 seconds. As though that wasn't enough, what I did immediately after is I went to Quest Labs and had them take every blood sample that they could to test for everything and to see where my levels were so the doctors could use it once again. I also didn't want anybody to question it. I had the world record, and I wanted to make sure it was legitimate. So I get to New York City the next day, And this kid walks up to me. I'm walking out of the Apple store. This kid walks up to me. He's like, "Yo, D." I'm like, "Yeah?" He said, "If you really held your breath that long, why'd you come out of the water dry?" I was like, "What?" And that's my life. So, but as a magician, I try to show things to people that seem impossible. And I think magic, whether I'm holding my breath or shuffling a deck of cards, is pretty simple. It's practice, it's training, and it's practice, it's training, and experimenting while pushing through the pain to be the best that I can be. And that's what magic is to me. So thank you.
Looks like David Blaine will add another death-defying stunt to his resume. He's been hanging upside down over a New York City ice rink since Monday. Just as things were winding down, Blaine admits the journey hasn't been easy.
The beginning of it was really, really difficult. The first day, and especially the first night when it got cold, I thought there was no chance I was going to make it. And I started thinking, why was I even doing this thing?
Medical experts warned him before he started that hanging upside down for 60 hours was risky. He could go blind, or even worse, suffer a stroke. Still, the stuntman says it's worth it.
I'm not sure if it's going to work, but if it does work, it'll be the coolest thing that I've ever done for sure.
Ross Simpson, The Associated Press.
Take one and show it to them. Don't let me see it. Show it to them, and you look at it, Tara. You look at it, remember it. Now look what happens. I might mess this up. I'm going to try to stick it inside, in the middle. Do you remember your card?
Yeah.
Look, if I hit it, I think I get it to jump. Is that it? Ace of clubs?
No.
Oh, that's not it? Here. I'm going to rip it up. Do the mistake. Okay? We rip it right up. Hold that. I thought it was the ace, but what was your card? Tell me it.
2 of spades.
Spades. All right. So it was a 2 of spades. That was next to the ace. Watch this. If I take the 2, if I wave it, watch. You're going to see it. Look. See it? It changes to the ace of clubs. Look in your hand. Sure. 2 of spades. Oh, the weirdest thing, you guys can see. You guys can see it, right? 2 of spades. It's a 2 of spades. Now listen, here's the interesting thing, ready? If you squeeze the pieces, squeeze tightly. Squeeze. If she squeezes the 2 of spades tightly, harder even, you're going to feel them start to stick in your hand. This is, use 2 hands, squeeze. It's like this, ready? You feel it starting to stick together?
Yeah.
Okay. See, the 2 isn't ripped anymore. Look.
What?
Show her.
She didn't touch it. I don't like the double.
Sorry, think of any card that you want, okay? Not the ace of spades, that'd be common. You have one? Hold your hand out, your palm. Let me explain this to you. There's a figure. See, this looks kind of like a 9, which means your card is a 9. But here's what's interesting. It also looks like a diamond.
No way! How did you do that? How did you? There's no way you could have done that. How did you do that? That's not magic. That's some crazy stuff. How did you do that?